Welcome to Crown TV. Immerse yourself with a captivating audio from our stories. We provide an alternative way to read books in audio. We upload many audiobooks as possible, from bestsellers to timeless classic. Subscribe and stay tuned for new upload.
Episode 171, Give Me a Pancake. When the madam of the whorehouse and the rest of the group all went back, only Alex and Nellie were left in the alley. "Thank you," Alex said to Nellie, as he was deeply grateful for her performance just then. She stared at him and her lips tightened. She raised her hand and prepared to hit him in the face, but he quickly grabbed her hand to stop her. "Why are you beating me?" Alex asked with surprise. "I've just been slapped twice by that stinky woman, so I'll slap you in the face twice too. Let go of me." She tried to pull her hand back, but he didn't let go. "She hit you, so you want to hit me? This is too much," he said innocently. "I was beaten because I saved you. I hate being bullied because of you. Because of you, I was beaten by that smelly woman. If I don't hit you, who will? Let go." She shook her hand vigorously. He noticed her embarrassment. It seemed that if he didn't give her a fight, she wouldn't be happy. "You want to fight?" He let go of her, stood in place, and closed his eyes. She didn't show any mercy and slapped him twice. "You're so cruel." He rubbed his beaten face and looked at her. He said, "Why do you want to beat me at all? Have you never heard of this saying about suffering a loss can turn into a blessing?" "I can't suffer losses. I don't want to be bullied. I've been bullied enough, so I try not to let others bully me, but I'm still—" She couldn't help but become emotional as the tears rolled down her cheeks. She lowered her head. "Are you all right?" He didn't expect that his simple sentence would make her cry. He was overcome with shame and pain. "What's wrong with me? I won't cry then. I'll laugh when I'm ridiculed by you bad guys." She raised her head and laughed twice, but her eyes were still watery, which made her look so sad. "What do you mean by that look? Look at me like that again and I'll gouge your eyes out," she said as she glared at Alex. Suddenly she smiled. "This afternoon, I didn't mean to be offensive by saying that $100 is a small amount of money for you. How come a rich person like you has to come and live in this kind of place?" "I have a problem," he said, laughing. He wanted to explain it, but it would be pointless. "You'll blow it," she said with a smile. "How come you were in this neighborhood?" he asked with curiosity. "I came to the train station to find people to work for me. I didn't expect to see you outside the whorehouse, you little loser. Because you helped me out this afternoon, I've helped you back. But I didn't expect to get slapped in the face for you. I knew I shouldn't have come here," she said. "Thank you again. Are you really a pancake seller?" he asked, looking puzzled. "Are you not convinced that I sell pancakes?" she said as she pursed her lips. As she saw him smile apologetically, she added, "I bought a food truck by myself, which I use to sell mostly soft drinks, ice cream, burgers, hot dogs, and pancakes. I can't do it all alone. I came to the station to see if there's anyone who's come looking for work in Washington." "Oh," he nodded. "But there should be few people willing to do this job." "I think you're quite suitable for the job. You can come with me." She stared at him and said, "I've helped you so much. What's wrong with the idea of you working for me? Would you like to work with me?" He looked at her for a moment. It must be hard for her to sell pancakes, he thought. He couldn't bear to refuse to help her. "I'll first listen to your working conditions." "I'll pay you $300 at the end of the month, and you can have some pancakes to eat during the day," she said happily. "Really? The pay sounds okay at $300, he said. Can a pancake seller like Nellie make this? He wondered. "It's not bad work. I can make a living with my food truck. Plus, I get to have pancakes and burgers to eat. You can watch the truck for me. In the end, Alex agreed to help Nellie sell food. Now that he had no financial resources, he had to find a job. She also said that her food truck had to be driven all over Washington, D.C., which would also help him in his search for Debbie. That night, she took him back to her place. He didn't stay in the food truck, but rented a room for $125. The next day, Alex drove the food truck with Nellie to sell food in different parts of the city. The truck operated as a small shop. She was responsible for cooking, as well as buying milk, eggs, and other staples. Alex was responsible for selling the food and drinks from the shelves of the truck. Their daily business was good, with earnings of $50 to $60 per day. One day, Alex noticed that the bracelet on his left wrist was moving. Grandma in New York was contacting him. His index finger swayed left and right 3 times, which meant that he hadn't sent her a chicken. Grandma knew that he had left without her permission, and she was angry. Alex felt that if he continued wearing the bracelet, he would feel confused, so he simply took it off and put it in his pocket. His finger was suddenly yanked again, and when he looked down at it, he saw that some of his skin had been scratched. Over the next 10 days, Alex and Nellie continued working together, and their relationship grew closer. However, he had not found any news about Debbie. One day, Alex and Nellie stopped at Tilly's Square with the food truck. After the morning rush hour, the number of customers gradually decreased. He told her that he was going to go for a walk. She knew that he was going to go and look for his girlfriend. So she told him that if he wasn't back by noon, she would deduct $75 from his wages. Looking at him from a distance, she sighed, sat in the food truck, and watched television. When it was nearly 11:30, she was still absorbed with the television show when she heard a voice in front of her. "Hey, ugly girl, make me 2 pancakes." Her heart caught on fire. She looked up and saw a man and a woman standing in front of her. The woman was dressed casually in white clothes and wore sunglasses and a brown sun hat. The tall, strong man was dressed in black and looked like a gym coach. "What are you looking at? I'm starving," the man yelled at her. "Honey, do you think she looks clean?" the woman in white bluttered. "There's nowhere else to eat in this rundown square. Let's buy some food to cushion our stomachs. Don't worry, if she dares to make unsanitary food, I'll damage her truck," the man said, as he put his arms around the woman's waist. Nellie looked at them angrily, and then quickly made the pancakes. She handed them to the couple and said, "That'll be $5. "I'll pay you next time," the man said, and turned to leave with the woman. "I have a small business here. You'd better pay it now," Nellie said politely, suppressing her anger. "Don't you see that I'm playing a game? Are you really going to lose that much money because of your 2 lousy pancakes?" the man said. The woman was ready to leave. Nellie's face turned red. She called out, "Wait a minute. I forgot to add onion to your pancakes. I'll add it now." "Dear, you forgot how to make pancakes. You really are a genius." The couple returned and handed the pancakes back to her. They looked at their phones and nodded at Nellie. "This time they'll be okay." 2 minutes later, she gave them back to the man, who cursed and walked away with the woman. Nellie took out her phone and called Alex. "Where are you? You need to come back right away. I want to go." "Ah, you want to go?" Alex was very puzzled. Previously, each time they had stopped at a place, they had stayed there for the whole day. Why was she changing her routine? Since half the day had gone by anyway, he agreed and began walking back to the truck. As he went across a lawn with a sprinkler, Alex accidentally stepped into some mud and slipped. Half of his body was covered in mud, but he couldn't deal with the mess because he had to go back. Nellie had packed up the food truck, and she was waiting for Alex to return so they could leave. She stood outside looking around anxiously for him, but she couldn't see him. Instead, she saw the man in black and the woman in white coming toward her. She was startled. She had taken the couple's pancakes and squeezed in some shoe polish from a tube as revenge for abusing her and not paying what they owed. She had thought she could leave before they found out, but they had returned too soon. "You're so ugly that you don't want to live, right?" said the man. They had already walked up to Nellie. Their lips were stained black with shoe polish. "What do you want? Don't move or I'll call someone." Nellie stared at the man, fearing that he might hit her. He was talking nonsense and sounded frightening. "Ugly girl, do you have someone to help you? You should call your relatives and friends, so I can beat you up in front of them. Don't you believe me?" the man said to Nellie with a mouth full of shoe polish. "Honey, don't hit her. Look, this is the polish. You should make her eat it." The woman had found the shoe polish in the food truck and walked toward the man. "I'll grab her mouth and you squeeze it in," he said. "If you don't swallow this whole tube of shoe polish, I'll see that you don't leave here alive," he told Nellie. The man grabbed her mouth from behind and forced it open. Nellie was crying, but it didn't stop them. The man sneered at the woman and said, "Honey, let's start to squeeze it out. Make sure you choke her half to death." "Good." The woman put the tube in Nellie's mouth and squeezed it in little by little. "Ugly girl, it's like eating bird poop, isn't it?" "Ah!" When the shoe polish slowly squirted into her mouth, Nellie gesticulated violently, raised a foot, and kicked the woman in the abdomen. The woman screamed and fell to the ground. The man let go of Nellie and went to help the woman. Episode 172. A fight breaks out. "She's killing me, Hunter! Kill that ugly monster for me!" the woman in white yelled angrily to the man in black as Nellie gave her a hard kick in the abdomen. "Stand up, my dear, I'll help you." He helped up the woman and turned to Nellie with a cold face. He walked up to her with clenched fists. "My friends are coming soon. There are so many of them that you won't know how to fight them all. You should go." Nellie retreated slowly. She would have run away, but her food truck was still there. "I'll beat you into a concussion first, until you're on the ground. I'll pour more shoe polish into your mouth," he said as he raised his big fist and was about to hit Nellie on the head. "Alex, come quickly!" Nellie cried out in horror as she saw him in the distance. "What are you doing?" Alex saw a man preparing to fight Nellie. He ran quickly to help her. "Oh." Hunter looked back at Alex. Alex had already reached Nellie and pulled her behind him. He gently comforted her. "Don't be afraid." "Are you her boyfriend?" Hunter asked with a sneer. He looked at Nellie, who was hiding behind Alex. "You look ugly, just like a loser, like him. Look at his dirty clothes. He's like a beggar." Seeing Alex covered in mud, Hunter didn't care about him at all. "I see a loser and an ugly monster. If you get married, your children will be ugly and lousy," the woman sneered as her pain lessened. "We aren't lovers. You shouldn't say such nonsense. What did she do wrong? Do you really feel you need to beat her up?" Alex, whose mind had been on Debbie, wanted to make sure there were no misunderstandings. He wanted to solve this situation as soon as possible. "Hey, ugly girl, do you hear me? Even this little loser doesn't think highly of you. I think you're going to be single all your life," ha ha, sneered the woman. "You be quiet." Alex couldn't help but glance at Nellie and saw a painful look in her eyes. He knew that the woman's words had hurt her self-esteem. "Loser! This ugly girl put shoe polish in her pancakes. She's in big trouble, so get out of the way. Stop meddling," Hunter said. When Hunter finished speaking, Alex grasped Nellie behind him more tightly, and his heart softened. "Sir, We were wrong about this matter. I'll apologize on her behalf, and I'll compensate you with $150. Let's forget everything that happened today. What do you think?" Alex guessed that it must have been something the other party had said that had infuriated Nellie. She would have reacted in that way, but it would be better to resolve the problem if he could. "I'm from the Marvel family. Do you think I care about your money?" Hearing that Alex was still protecting Nellie, Hunter became angry. He said rudely, "I'm a bodyguard. I usually practice in the fight hall. I'll give you 3 seconds to think about it. If you don't get out of the way, I'll beat you both." "Young man, don't try to be brave. He's quite an expert in martial arts. If he beats you, it's not going to be fun," said the woman. 3, 2... Hunter gritted his teeth and started to count down. Alex just stood in front of him and looked at him quietly. 1, exclaimed the man. "I'll get you," he roared violently and raised his hand to punch Alex. Alex looked at Hunter's fist and wanted to dodge to the side. He unexpectedly felt a force behind him that pushed him aside. Ouch! It was Nellie who had pushed Alex away. Since the target of Hunter's attack had been pushed out of his path, he had nothing to hit. Nellie kicked him in the lower part of his body. He bent down and howled bitterly. "Run!" Nellie took the opportunity to rush over to Alex and pull him away. She thought he was a useless student. If Hunter had beaten him up, he would be in the hospital for many days, so she had pushed him to safety and kicked Hunter. "Don't you want to protect your food truck?" Alex asked. The truck might be smashed by Hunter. Nellie's life wasn't easy. If the truck was damaged, what would she do for a living? "No, just run!" Nellie yelled to Alex. "Damn you, I see where you're going. Hunter, get it quickly. I've caught these 2 dogs. Unexpectedly, the woman, who had sharp reflexes, had grabbed Alex and Nellie. "You ugly girl!" Hunter had already straightened up and rushed over to her. "Dear, wherever you've kicked me, I'll kick you too. I'll make it so you can't have children." Hunter grabbed Nellie's shoulders with both hands and lifted his knee fiercely to kick her. "Ah!" He had Nellie in a locked grip with her body leaning downward. When she saw that his knee was about to hit her, her heart almost jumped out of her chest. She closed her eyes. Suddenly, Hunter saw a shadow on his right side. He turned his head and saw a foot coming toward him. He was kicked in the side and couldn't control his balance, so he fell over. Nellie opened her eyes and was surprised to see that it was Alex who had kicked him. Alex pulled her to his side and warily watched Hunter as he lay on the ground. "If you dare attack me, I'll get you first, and then I'll get the ugly one." Hunter hadn't been beaten like this before, and he was getting angrier. He felt that he had been attacked by surprise. "Stop it. I don't want to fight you. I have something to say." Alex frowned and looked at him. He knew that the more he fought, the more complicated the situation would become. But Hunter attacked again, using one of his favorite martial arts techniques. He wanted to crush Alex quickly. In the blink of an eye, Hunter raised his fist, intending to smash it into Alex's face, and he laughed. "My fist will make your face swell, and the next blow will make you lose 4 front teeth." He was just thinking about his move when he received a blow to the chest. He felt a sharp pain and gasped. Before his fist even touched Alex, he staggered back a few steps and covered his chest. Although the pain was severe, he didn't want to lose face in front of Alex and Nellie. He was stunned. Alex had just hit Hunter's chest with his elbow. He usually didn't like to fight, but that didn't mean that he couldn't fight. That time when he had saved Kelly Phillips on the street, he alone had knocked over several people with the car. Hunter's skills wouldn't be able to subdue him. Hunter felt that Alex wasn't as simple as he had imagined. Maybe he wasn't the right opponent for him? He was already feeling timid. He was an arrogant man, and if he left like this, his reputation would be in tatters. Hey, if you pay me $300, I'll go. Hunter also wanted to find a way out for himself, but Alex raised his hand, and with a whoosh sound, a bunch of Hunter's hair fell off. Hunter touched his head and took a blade out from his hair. He was shocked. If you don't leave, I won't mind slashing your eye too, Alex said faintly, holding a blade between his fingers. You did this to me? Hunter went numb as he was scared out of his mind. He quickly said, Yes, I'll go now. He walked to the woman and started pulling her away. Oh, what's the matter with you? Now you're so scared of him? That ugly guy kicked me, and you haven't got him back yet for it. Where are you going? Go and beat up that bitch and that man for me. The woman had not seen Alex's flying blades. There was another whoosh sound, and part of the woman's sun hat was seared off by a blade. She was scared and sweating, so Hunter no longer needed to convince her to leave. She ran to him in her high-heeled shoes and said, Hunter, what are you still doing here? Let's go. Seeing them disappear, Alex turned his head to ask Nellie if she was hurt. Before he could say anything, he saw that she was staring at him with a smile. He was embarrassed by her gaze and asked, What do you want me to do? I didn't expect you to be so good at defending yourself. Why didn't you say so earlier? I didn't have to be afraid of those two bastards. Nellie's tone sounded like a reproach. You never asked me. What can I tell you? Seeing her manner, he knew that she had not been hurt. His heart was wide open. He thought it was very funny when he heard her question. Well, don't you blame me for not asking, right? Now tell me about all the things I haven't asked you, so that you won't get into trouble next time, she said rudely. Damn it, you're too overbearing. It's private, so how can I tell you? Alex said. I'm overbearing? What's the matter with you? You're not going to tell me? Well, in that case, I'll deduct from your salary. I'll deduct $30 first, she said, doing things in her unruly way. Okay, I'll tell you. I've told you things before. Alex was speechless. He knew that she had strong self-esteem and couldn't be bullied. Who in this society would get used to her bad temper? You like money. As soon as I said that I'll deduct money, you changed your tune. You're hardly shy. Let's get back to work in the food truck first. If I lose money, I'll deduct that from your salary too, she said. Alex shook his head helplessly. He reopened the food truck with Nellie and started up her business again. Episode 173, What's in the Pancake? 3 days later, Alex and Nellie drove the food truck to the Todd Mountain Scenic Area. Lately, folk activities were held there, which attracted many tourists. She had thought that it would be a good business place. Nellie, like the other sellers, first had to apply for a temporary business license. She then drove into the area with the food truck and stopped at a small square. Since people had started arriving at 8 in the morning, her business was doing very well. By 10 o'clock, she had not stopped making pancakes. While Alex and Nellie were busy with the food truck, a Mercedes pulled up to the gate of the scenic area. Several people stepped out of the car. One of them was Hunter, who had been scared to death by Alex in Tilly Square a few days earlier. Hunter was followed by 2 young girls. One of the girls was Lindsay Marvel, who had been assaulted by Philip Geller at the Lawrence Heights apartment in New York. Lindsay looked lovely in a khaki one-piece suit with a pair of pale pink sandals. The other girl looked like she was 2 or 3 years older. She was wearing a copper green dress and a pair of white mesh shoes.
With her shoulder-length hair, her style looked different from Lindsay's, but she was just as beautiful. "Sister, this is Todd Mountain. The scenery here is very nice. When I was a child, I especially liked it when my father brought me here. It's even more wonderful to hear that there are folk performances today. Let's go and have a look together." Lindsay smiled and took the other girl by the hand. The girl in green nodded and said that Hunter had already bought tickets. Lindsay took the girl past the ticket office and entered through the gates to the scenic area. Hunter and his wife followed them. They were their bodyguards. "Can you see how high Todd Mountain is? There are streams, waterfalls, and all kinds of flowers on the mountain. It's very beautiful," Lindsay said to the girl in green as she pointed to the distant mountain. "Oh, it smells good. It smells like pancakes," Lindsay said as she sniffed the air. She looked around and saw a lot of tourists in front of the food truck. There seemed to be 2 people running the truck. One was making pancakes, and the other was taking drink orders from the tourists. But she couldn't see much of anything, as she was still quite far away, and there were many people around the front of the truck. "I'd like to buy one too, but there are too many people." Lindsay sighed and put her arm around the girl in green. "Let's go on ahead." The 2 girls walked forward. Alex handed a soft drink to a tourist. He looked at the people around him, as he had a feeling that something was wrong. "Hey, don't you see that someone's asking for pancakes?" Nellie reminded him, which brought his attention back. After 2 hours of touring the mountain, Lindsay and the girl in green were tired. They sat on a rock beside the mountain path to rest. Hunter took out the food that had been prepared for the 2 girls, which consisted of sandwiches and other snacks. "I don't want to eat this." Lindsay took the sandwich, but she didn't have much of an appetite. She set it down, looked at Hunter, and asked, "Can you help me buy a pancake? I'd like a pancake instead." "All right, I'll go right now. You wait here," he agreed. He had been hired by the Marvel family to protect the 2 sisters, and he had to take on the responsibility of assisting them. When someone from the family asked him for something, how could he refuse? He said to the other bodyguard, Shania, "Look after the 2 girls. I'm going to go buy pancakes." He turned to the girl in green and asked her, "You want one too?" "I'll just have my sandwich," she said with a smile as she shook her head. With that, Hunter walked to the scenic area by himself. They were almost a mile away from the entrance. There was a large platform where folk activities were carried out. It attracted a lot of tourists. It also had more security personnel to maintain order. When he arrived, Hunter spotted a man in uniform who looked familiar. He smiled and walked over to him. "Felix," he called out. "Hunter, what are you doing here?" Felix recognized Hunter right away. Felix and Hunter were old acquaintances. Now in their 30s, they both worked in security. When they were young, they had met through gambling. They had engaged in fraud, whoring, fighting, and robbery together. It could be said that they shared a dark past. Later, they realized that this kind of illegal activity wasn't a long-term business. They'd signed up for a fight club together, but after the semester was over, they went their separate ways and lost contact. They hadn't expected to meet again at Todd Mountain after one had become a bodyguard for the Marvel family, and the other had become the chief of security section for the Todd Mountain scenic area. "You've done well for yourself. You've become the chief of the security section. You're much more important than I am with my little bodyguard role." Hunter patted Felix on the shoulder. "Damn it, Hunter, you don't need to use sarcasm. Everybody knows that the Marvel family is one of the top 5 families in Washington, D.C. You serve as a bodyguard for Miss Marvel's family. Your status is much better than mine. Hey, if you want to change positions, I'll give you my small section chief role, and you give me the bodyguard position with the Marvels," said Felix. Felix wondered if he could also work as a bodyguard for the Marvels. His friend's salary must be at least $80,000 a year. As a small section chief, All he earned was $25,000 a year, which was far less than Hunter. He considered himself quite poor. After Felix mentioned swapping positions, Hunter just laughed obscenely. "You're buying pancakes for Miss Marvel, right? Let's go. I'll go with you, and we'll talk about our old friendship," Felix volunteered. He wanted to ask Hunter whether he could work for the Marvel family. "Let's take a patrol car to save you from walking." Felix called a security guard to drive the patrol car. The two old friends got into the vehicle and headed for the entrance. In the car, Felix inquired about the Marvel family's news. Although Hunter listened to Felix's intention of getting employment with the Marvels, he pretended to be confused and gave his friend a slap in the face. "Okay, I'll buy pancakes for my young lady and we'll talk later." The patrol car quickly arrived at the square's gate. Hunter got out and walked toward the food truck. Alex and Nellie were busy working. There were only 3 or 4 people standing in front of the food truck. Hunter saw the small crowd, and when he arrived, he looked at the truck. Washington was full of such food trucks, so he didn't expect that the people inside it would be Alex and Nellie. When he spotted them, he remembered that a few days ago in Tilly Square, Alex had a flying blade that had cut off some of his hair. He quickly turned around and walked stiffly back to the patrol car with a sigh of relief. "What's the matter with you? Why did you walk partway there, turn around, and come back again?" Felix was puzzled. "You don't have to worry about it. By the way, aren't you the chief of security around here? Except for the administrative affairs, I manage all the affairs in the scenic area, but my life around here is quite carefree. The other day my team members found a cell phone that a female tourist had lost. I handed it back to her in the office, but I couldn't speak her language. So I just said hello to her and fooled her into having an in-depth communication with me in the office, on the desk." Felix didn't want to be looked down by Hunter, so he tried to boast about himself. "Right on." Hunter gave Felix a thumbs up, and then pointed in the direction of the food truck. "Don't you want to work at the Marvel House? Now here's your chance to get in. I think those people over there are no good, so you can teach them a lesson. If I'm satisfied, I'll go back and talk to the Marvels. I'll let you know if a job opportunity comes up." "Okay, if that's what you say." Felix was very happy to hear about this opportunity. He looked at Alex and Nellie in the nearby food truck, and his eyes showed a trace of ruthlessness. "I'm the boss around here, and it's not a trivial thing to have 2 people here who might be up to no good." Felix got out of the car. "Hello, can I have a pancake?" As soon as Nellie was ready to have a rest, another customer walked up. She saw that he was a small security guard, so she stood up again, scooped up some dough, and began to spread out the pancake. Soon she had made it. When the security guard paid for it, Nellie handed him the pancake, and he walked away. "Alex, I'm tired. Rub my shoulders," Nellie called out as she sat in the chair. "Well, my goodness," he sighed. The more familiar their relationship became, the less polite she was to him. She often asked for a massage when she was tired. However, Alex recognized that she did have a hard life making pancakes every day, and she'd been washing his clothes, so he was willing to give her a massage. Just then, the security guard came back. He put his hand in front of Nellie and said angrily, "Hey, look what's in my pancake. Flies! How did you make these pancakes?" Alex and Nellie were surprised as they looked at the green fly in his hand that was still moving around. "Are you talking nonsense? I made the pancake. There were no flies in it when I gave it to you. Don't be so angry with me," Nellie said aloud. "Damn, there are flies in the pancakes, and you're so arrogant. Let's have a look and see how hygienic your food truck is. I just ate flies out of this pancake, and now you say that I'm talking nonsense?" The security guard began to shout, and a lot of tourists quickly gathered around the truck. Other security guards also went over. Naturally, the tourists were on the security guard's side and began to accuse Alex and Nellie of being unsanitary. How do you make the pancakes? If you can't do it right, you shouldn't do it at all. This isn't good enough to eat. It could make us sick. Alex and Nellie said nothing to the tourists. What's the matter? The security guard, who had gone away for a moment, returned, leading a tall man with a serious face. After listening to the security guard, Felix looked at Alex and said, The pancakes you made are not up to standard. Now we have to impound your food truck temporarily to check whether the other products in the truck are safe. You step out so we can drive the truck away. Episode 174, Surrounded by Security. What are you doing? As soon as Nellie heard that the chief security guard wanted to impound her food truck, her blood surged. She was ready to scold him, but Alex stopped her. You're the chief of the security section. You don't know if the fly flew in when we made the pancake or later. You shouldn't be so arbitrary. And you want to temporarily impound our truck? I don't think you have the right to do this. Alex saw the identification tag on Felix's jacket and felt he was acting inappropriately. Don't talk to me about this or that. Since you're creating problems here, I have the right to tell you what to do. I'll tell you for the last time to get out of the truck right now. Don't play with me or there will be consequences, Felix threatened. He was just a humble man, and he wasn't that familiar with the law. But Hunter had told him that as long as he dealt with Alex and Nellie, he would help him get a job with the Marvel family. So Felix set out to find fault with them. If they impounded the truck, they could delay returning it for any number of reasons, or they could even smash it up. The other party was just pancake sellers. How much trouble could they make? Alex was surprised that Felix was such an unreasonable person. Hey, I can see that you're trying to seize our food truck, aren't you? Nellie angrily pointed at Felix and said, I think it was you who sent the security guard over to get a pancake. You're clearly trying to embarrass us. You're playing with hypocrisy here, which makes me want to spit out my breakfast. You ugly girl. Who do you think you are? How dare you speak to me like that? When Felix was confronted like this, he got really angry. Addressing the 6 security guards standing next to him, he said, What are you doing standing there in a daze? Get them out of that truck and drive it away. The 6 security guards went to the food truck, opened the side door, and rushed in to grab Alex and Nellie. Alex's eyebrows shot up, and he didn't know what to do. Go away! Bad security! When the security guards rushed in, Nellie kicked the closest one, who then fell to the ground. Damn it! A security guard at the back grabbed Nellie's foot and tried to drag her out, almost spraining her ankle. Ah! She screamed as she was yanked out of the food truck. Smelly woman, you just kicked me. I'll get you. The security guard that she had kicked stood up to kick her in the leg. But before he could lift his leg, he was hit hard in the nose. Before he had a chance to check his injury, he got kicked in the abdomen, and it felt like his stomach was about to burst. Alex also kicked the security guard who was holding Nellie's foot. The man screamed and let go of her. Alex pulled her away and stood in front of her to protect her. Get him! Use the tasers! Felix angrily shouted to several of the other security guards, who ran to the nearby duty room and grabbed some shields. He called for 3 more guards at the same time. A total of 9 security guards brandishing tasers and batons slowly approached Alex step by step. Alex didn't mean to start a fight with them, because he knew that the matter would only become more and more complicated and disadvantageous to them. However, he no longer had the right to use his family's powers. It was becoming really difficult to solve the problems that he encountered. "Please put down your weapons. We won't move," said Alex, who was still keeping Nellie behind him. He was thinking that he would later find a police officer to help get the food truck back after the security guards left. However, the guards surrounded Alex and Nellie, who stopped moving as they huddled together. Nellie had never been so close to a man. For a moment, her attention couldn't help but turn toward Alex, who was standing so close in front of her. She could feel the warmth of his broad back. She could see the black hairs on the back of his neck, which made her feel warm and also shy. "Hey, are you two making trouble again?" Felix said with a proud smile. He looked at the tourists surrounding them and said, "Look at these two dodgy vendors. There were flies in our pancakes, but they refused to admit it. They also beat up our security personnel just now. If you see these two in other places, you must not buy their food. It's not sanitary. Really, look at that woman and how ugly she is. I think she looks like a fly. Although the man looks okay, he seems like a loser in those clothes. He has no money for a proper girlfriend, so he has to be with this ugly monster. Neither of them is any good, so send them to the police station." The tourists didn't know the whole story of what had taken place, so they all sided with Felix. "This pair of dogs should have been taken care of a long time ago," a man who came from a distance said in a loud voice. Alex and Nellie saw that it was Hunter, who had been causing them problems in Tilly Square a few days ago. When he saw him walk up to Felix, they understood at once what was going on. If someone eats a fly out of a pancake, your response is to say that someone else framed you? Is there anyone more shameless than you in the world? Seeing that Alex and Nellie were under control, Hunter leisurely walked over and ridiculed Alex. "So, you colluded with the chief of the security section to frame us, and you have the face to say that we did it. It seems that you were beaten up too lightly the last time." When Alex saw Hunter swagger over, he couldn't help but curse. "What a shame, don't you think?" Hunter went up to Alex and slapped him twice in the mouth. Alex was stuck in place by the surrounding security guards and couldn't move. Hunter was very happy. Seeing Hunter's satisfaction, Felix was relieved. It looked like he might be able to get into the Marvel family. "You go and drive the food truck away. The four of you, get these two out of here," Felix commanded his men. Several security guards were preparing to perform their respective duties when a puzzled voice came from the crowd. "What's going on here? Why are there so many people?" Hearing the voice, Hunter panicked. He recognized it as Lindsay's and knew that she was kind-hearted. If she found out that he had framed the pancake sellers, she would be angry with him. He quickly considered his predicament. According to his version of the events, it was a fact that there had been a fly in a pancake from this stand. Besides, he wasn't the one who had first approached the food truck. How could Lindsay blame him? Lindsay squeezed through the crowd that surrounded Alex and Nellie. Alex was surprised to see that who had appeared was Lindsay, whom he had rescued in the Lawrence Heights building. She looked beautiful, and her one-piece suit vividly outlined her delicate figure. Remembering that Lindsay had tried to kiss him on the day that he had saved her, he couldn't help feeling overwhelmed. "What's going on?" Lindsay first glanced at Hunter. "Miss, the pancakes they made were not hygienic. Some people found flies in them just now. Moreover, these two people were not honest at all and beat up people. This isn't allowed by the chief of security section here," Hunter explained. But when she saw that the person surrounded by the guards was Alex, she smiled. She stopped listening to Hunter and walked over to him. "It's you!" Lindsay could hardly believe her eyes. Alex smiled faintly, but he was embarrassed. "Let Miss Marvel see them," Felix said to the security guards. He was still looking forward to working for the Marvels, so he didn't dare ignore Lindsay. Several security guards stepped aside and let her walk up to Alex. "You've come to Washington. Are you looking for me?" She saw Alex's joy. As soon as she had said that, she felt that she had been too open about her feelings. She lowered her head slightly, trying to figure out what he was thinking. Alex didn't know what to say. He turned to look at Nellie and saw that she was staring back at him. He looked away, but he noticed that her eyes were twitching. He didn't know what Nellie was thinking. "I came to Washington to look for my girlfriend," Alex said to Lindsay after thinking for a few seconds. He felt that Lindsay seemed to like him a little bit too much, so he'd better set things straight as soon as possible. "Girlfriend?" Lindsay asked, as she raised her head and looked at him. Nellie was also moved. She had thought that the girlfriend Alex was looking for had been Lindsay, but now she realized that it wasn't this woman. She felt a trace of resentment. She looked at Alex and pinched his waist. "Ouch, you!" She had pinched him so hard that he frowned and glared at her, but she had turned away as if nothing had happened. However, there was a hint of a smile in the corner of her mouth. "They say your pancakes are full of flies." As soon as Lindsay said that, Nellie spoke up. "No way. I made the pancakes. There weren't any flies. It's because we offended that guy a few days ago." Nellie pointed to Hunter. "Today he colluded with this crappy section chief to deliberately come after us." "No, miss, don't listen to her. I've just arrived here. I don't know what she's talking about," Hunter said, while Felix was motionless and kept his mouth shut. "Well, Miss Marvel, one of our security guards bought a pancake from her." Felix finally tried to explain. He couldn't admit that he had framed Alex and Nellie, otherwise he would lose his chance of working for the family. And judging from the relationship between Lindsay and Alex, he might even lose his position as the chief of security of the Todd Mountain area. "You're just blowing smoke," Nellie said with a scowl as she pointed at Felix. Now that Lindsay was there, Felix didn't dare to be as arrogant as before. "Pay attention to your words. Washington is a civilized city. You're no good here," Felix said, and then he addressed the onlookers. "Just now we all saw that our security guard found flies in his pancake. Didn't you see it?" "Yes, I saw it. I saw it. It was so disgusting." "Nonsense. Where are the flies?" Nellie said aloud. "Well, you're still quibbling. Here, I've been holding it." The security guard who bought the pancake held it up in his hand and showed the green fly that was still moving. "Look, the fly in his hand is still alive. Think about it. If there had been a fly in the pancake when I made it, how would it have survived in the pan?" Nellie said aloud. Episode 175. Who's the Girl in Green? That's true. The fly would have been burned to death when she made the pancake. Yes, I didn't think of that before. We shouldn't blame them. The tourists were all making comments. You shouldn't confuse the public. It may be that you made the pancake and then a fly flew into it when you were wrapping it up. Felix felt that the situation was turning against him, and he was flustered. You're blowing smoke. Do you know how hot the pan that I use to make pancakes gets? People don't even want to get close to it. Do you think flies would come near it? Nellie rebutted. Yes, it does get very hot. Every time I buy pancakes, I always stand 6 feet away. Flies aren't that stupid. It's the security guards that framed this couple. The comments from the onlookers completely reversed, and they accused the security guards. Let me ask you, have you ever found a fly in a pancake? Lindsay asked the security guard. My name is Lindsay Marvel, and the Washington, D.C. Tonico Group belongs to my family. If you lie to me, the consequences will be very serious. When the crowd of onlookers heard the beautiful woman say that she was a member of the Marvel family, they looked at her with awe and admiration. They also found her quite fearsome. Lindsay was just trying to scare the security guard to make sure that Alex was treated fairly. She was usually a peaceful person and rarely got angry. The guard became very worried. His face turned red and he started shivering. Felix and Hunter were standing nervously beside him. They didn't know what to do. It's not my fault. The chief asked me to catch a fly and frame them. The security guard broke down and admitted it. The Tenuco group was well known in Washington. It wasn't a good idea to offend the Marvel family. Lindsay looked at Felix, and Felix's heart thumped and almost jumped out of his throat. It wasn't my idea. It was Hunter who asked me to do it. Yes, he ordered me to do it. Felix was also afraid of offending the Marvels. Lindsay shifted her attention toward Hunter. Hunter was flustered. He quickly approached Lindsay and apologized. I'm sorry, Miss Marvel. I just made such a stupid thing because I was so confused. Please don't be angry. Nellie sharply retorted. Miss Marvel, don't believe him. This man ordered pancakes from me in Tilly Square a few days ago. He refused to pay for them, and then he was going to beat us up. Fortunately, Alex was stronger than him. Otherwise, we'd be in the hospital now. Listening to Nellie expose his actions in front of Lindsay, Hunter felt like he was going to die. Hunter, is that true? Lindsay asked him. Hunter felt that his future was hanging from a thread. He didn't know what to say. He stammered. Well, in fact, there was a reason for everything. At that time, I felt she was playing games with me. She later put shoe polish in my pancakes. Needless to say, Lindsay said, interrupting Hunter, you must go back and tell my father to arrange a new job for you. Oh no, Miss Marvel, please forgive me this once. I promise I won't make the same mistake again. Hunter pleaded with her and said in a panic that he didn't have a diploma or very much education. Apart from being a bodyguard, there was no other job he could do for the Marvel family. If he reported to her father that he'd been dismissed by Lindsay, what would they do with him? It would be questionable whether they would continue employing him. It's not me that you should be apologizing to, Lindsay said. Yes. Hunter went over to Alex and Nellie and anxiously said, I'm sorry. Please accept my apology. I'm a big fool. I deserve to eat shoe polish. Hunter scolded himself mercilessly in front of Alex and finally added, I've scolded myself hard enough. You two shouldn't still be angry with me. Hunter was just about to go on talking when he heard Nellie say, What? We shouldn't be angry anymore? How can you say this so easily? You just slapped Alex twice. Why should we help you now by not being angry anymore? As long as you two help me later, I'll let you slap me, Hunter said, extending his face in front of Alex. But Alex was no longer interested in playing along. Fight! Nellie looked at Hunter's face and her hands itched. Forget it, I don't want to fight anymore, said Alex. You are kind-hearted. I'd like to thank you for that. Hunter was overjoyed to hear that Alex didn't want to fight. How humiliating it would be if he were beaten up in front of so many people. He wanted to get his reputation back. You're such a fool. I think you deserve to be beaten up by this kind of guy, Nellie told Alex. She grabbed Hunter's ear with one hand and said bitterly, He won't dare beat me now. Just as she said that, she raised her other hand and slapped him twice in the face. Hunter felt the burning pain on his cheek. He wanted to hit Nellie with his backhand. However, when he thought that he would still ask Alex and Nellie to help him get his job back, he could only say that it was a good fight. "Can you ask my lady for a favor?" Hunter was smiling, and his face was red and swollen. "You want us to intercede for you? Oh, you're so special," Nellie said with a proud smile as she stood there with her arms crossed. "Oh, you..." Hunter swallowed the dirty words that had already reached his throat and said, "You've already slapped me in the face, and now you should help me." "So, because I hit you, now you think I should help you? You shameless, rotten man," Nellie scoffed. Hunter wanted to punch her. He looked at Alex again. "His talent is Miss Marvel's friend. If he can speak up for me, Miss Marvel won't punish me," he thought. "Sir, please help me beg for mercy," he implored Alex. He thought Alex would be good at pleading his case, but he didn't expect him to stand there and ignore his words. Alex was broad-minded, but it didn't mean that he was stupid. Hunter had a problem with his character, so Alex wouldn't help him. "Well, Hunter, you don't have to say more. Just go back to my father," said Lindsay. There was nothing more that Hunter could do. He walked away feeling dejected. All he wanted now was to come up with something clever to say when he met with the Marvel boss. "Now that the problem is solved, can you make me a pancake?" Lindsay looked at Alex with a smile. "I'll make it for you," Nellie replied. If it weren't for Lindsay, she and Alex would be miserable that day. Nellie looked at Alex and Lindsay, and she recognized that they were old acquaintances. She glanced at Alex again and went into the food truck to make the pancakes. "Thank you. If it wasn't for you today, I really don't know what we would have done," Alex said to Lindsay with a faint smile. "No, if it hadn't been for you the last time, maybe I..." Lindsay abruptly stopped, as she thought back to when she was nearly raped by Manager Geller at the Lawrence Heights building. It still felt like a nightmare to her. Thinking of Alex's incredible rescue that day, she smiled. "I remember your kindness toward me, and I haven't forgotten it for a second. I'm very happy to see you again." She spoke shyly and timidly, like a young girl. Alex watched her and found her both naive and romantic. "Miss Marvel, your pancakes are ready." Nellie picked them up and brought them to her. "You should carry on sightseeing on the mountain. We're going to carry on working." She smiled at Lindsay and took Alex back into the food truck. Lindsay looked at them and sadly started walking away. "Lindsay, did you get your pancakes?" When they'd finished their meal and Lindsay hadn't yet returned, the girl in green and the other bodyguard, Shania, had gone looking for her. When Alex heard the girl in green's voice, he was stunned. He felt a burning heat in his chest, and his heart started pounding. He turned his head and looked in the direction of the sound. "Hello, Alex. What are you looking at? Miss Marvel's beautiful. I can see that your eyes are flying out of your head. It's a shame." Nellie's words were full of jealousy. Alex didn't listen to what Nellie was saying to him. He saw the girl in green who had been talking. He was ecstatic and began to tremble. He could hardly believe what his eyes were telling him. But the girl in green wasn't the Debbie he was looking for. "Debbie!" Alex was overjoyed as he ran toward her. "What are you doing?" asked Shania. The bodyguard that was standing next to Debbie was surprised when she saw a young man rushing toward the young lady. When he passed her, she grabbed him and threw him to the ground. "What do you think you're doing?" Shania asked again as she immobilized him. "Shania, let go of him. He's a good man," Lindsay hurriedly said as she rushed back. "Debbie, I found you. I'm sorry. I didn't protect you well. Do you hate me in your heart?" Alex looked at the girl and kept repeating himself, hoping that she would forgive him. Debbie was startled by Alex's sudden appearance. She looked at him in horror as she was unable to understand his behavior. "Shania, let him stand up. He won't hurt my sister," Lindsay said. The bodyguard held Alex's hands and made him stand up. "What did you say? She's your sister?" Alex was shocked. "Yes, she's my sister, Leona Marvel, and not what you said, Debbie." "You have the wrong person," Lindsay said in a puzzled way. "No way, you're mistaken." Alex looked at Debbie and pleaded. "I'm sorry, Debbie. It was my fault before. I should die. Please come back to me. I want to make up for my past mistakes. Can you give me another chance?" But Debbie didn't seem to understand what Alex was saying to her. He looked like a madman to her. "I'm sorry. I'm really not the Debbie that you're looking for. I'm Leona." "I guess the Debbie that you're looking for looks like me, does she?" Leona calmly asked with a smile.
Thank you for listening to Crown TV. Please don't forget to subscribe, share and turn on the notification button.